So you've got Logos Bible software, but maybe you're struggling to use it. Well, Bible software is hard. Let's talk about how to use it in this video. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Daryl Burling from Master New Testament Greek, here to help you with the tools, habits, and system to master the Greek of the New Testament. Now, Logos Bible software is a great piece of software, and today I want to just talk a little bit about how I use it, particularly with the original languages. And so I want to encourage you, if you've got Logos Bible software and you like the original languages, then some of the tips and tricks that I've got here today will be helpful for you as well. Now, before I get into it, I just want to make a note. There is a special deal on right now if you're interested in some of the original language material in Logos Bible software. And I'll leave a link to that in the description below so you can go get a copy of that. It's 40% off Greek resources, 40% off Hebrew resources. It's well worth taking a look at, particularly if you want to flesh out your library with some of these extra resources, grammars, and so on. And I'll show you even in this video how you can use a pack like this with using collections as well. So I'm not going to use it exhaustively, but we'll get it started at least. So with that, let me take you through three core areas that I think are really helpful to get your head around when it comes to Logos Bible software. We're going to talk about how to lay out and use book layouts in Logos Bible software. We're going to talk about other interface tweaks that I use all the time to dramatically speed up my workflow. And thirdly, we're going to talk about some basic search ideas and how I use search. And again, integrating those with some of those interface tweaks that we talked about earlier on. Now, there is a lot to cover, and I can't possibly cover everything in this video, but hopefully we can cover at least some of these tips and they'll be of benefit to you. So with that, let's move over and get into the text together on the Bible, on Logos, over here. So let's get underway here. And what I want to do, we've got a blank canvas here. And as we get into it, I just want to talk briefly about how to lay out books. So obviously you want to start in the library here. And you can see my library pops up. I'm just going to grab my, let's say my Tyndale House Greek New Testament. There it is. And when I click on that, obviously that opens it up. Now you can move these around by dragging them, as you probably know, so you can make it full screen. You can see here that my text is reasonably large, but you can change the font size easily simply by using Command plus or minus on a Mac, which I assume would be the Control plus or minus on a Windows computer, but it's been a while since I've used that. But if you go Control minus, you can zoom out, you can zoom in. It's pretty easy to sort of get your way around and have the text exactly how you want. Now I tend to have quite a large text when I share my screen for Master New Testament Greek and for the Biblical Mastery Academy, but a lot of the time I'm just using it with much smaller text like this, which is perfectly okay. Let me grab a study Bible up here, and again you can just drag and drop it onto the screen. It synchronizes automatically with where your current window, Bible is open to, and you can, and then you can change the font size of that independently by doing exactly the same thing as well. Now, once you start getting a lot of different resources open here, you might actually want to start to scatter those around. And again, you can just drag and drop, and it's pretty smart about giving you options about how to lay that out. But there's also up here, you'll see that there is also this button where you click it, and you can see at the top here, there's a number of different preset layouts. And so you can choose 3 vertical columns, which is what we have anyway, so no change there. Let's just go with 2, and then I can show you what happens if you've got more windows open than what you would normally have for the number of columns. So here you can see I've chosen 2 columns, and you can see it's just put these 2 in the same column. And so that's what it will do, is automatically distribute those so that you can have them however you need them. So that's pretty straightforward in terms of laying out your screens and everything. But let me just talk to, you can see here, one of the questions I sometimes get is people who say, when I scroll in Logos, it scrolls too quickly. You do that and suddenly you're going from 1 Timothy here to 2 Timothy, Hebrews, you're skipping a whole bunch of books all at once. And the reason for that is, as you can see here, I'm in the column mode. And in the column mode, essentially the idea here is that you've got 2 columns. It's using the screen better. Normally you get more text on the screen doing it this way. But when you scroll, you're scrolling one whole page at a time. And if that's not what you want, then you can come up here to these 3 dots. And if you click on those 3 dots, then you can see here columns. Down here, you've got the columns option. And so you can choose auto, which is what I've got it set to here, or you can choose none. And when you choose none, it scrolls line by line, not page by page, okay? So if you're finding that you're scrolling too quickly, it's probably because you're in page mode and you've got column layout turned on. Turn that off and it'll just scroll line by line. Of course, The problem with that is that now you have the text that goes right across the whole column. And obviously the only way to fix that really is by dropping another file there or just reducing the size of that column somehow as well. And of course you can do that just by moving your mouse over that center column and then resizing it as you want to as well. So that's really the way to manage that. And of course, scrolling line by line is nice and easy. There's also a keyboard shortcut you can use, and that is on the Mac at least, Command-Shift-P, and that will switch in between page mode and column mode. Let me just get rid of that so you can see, well, that wasn't where I was supposed to put it, but nonetheless, let me just get rid of that so you can see here the column mode being turned on and off with Command-Shift-P. You also can float these screens in their own window as well, and to do that, essentially all you do is, again, click that three button menu there, and you can scroll down and you can choose Float This Panel, and that will then open that window in its own screen. And then of course, if you've got multiple monitors, you can have one screen on one monitor. You can add other resources to that one screen as well, so that you can get your way around and find whatever resources you want and be able to have multiple resources on multiple screens and so on. So I don't use this very much at the moment, but when I did have multiple screens, I used that quite a lot. It was quite handy to have, say, a couple of translations on one screen and then maybe your main workspace on another. So that's a few tips just in terms of laying out books, and these are the things that I tend to use pretty regularly as well. So let's move on. Hey, let me just interrupt this for just a moment. If you're getting value out of this, could you hit the like button on this video? And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and the notify bell as well. Let's get back to it. So that's a little bit about layout. Let's talk a little bit about the interface generally. And again, here, you can see up here, I've got some favorite books. Let's just say I want to take the UBS Greek New Testament, let's say the 5th edition, UBS 5, there it is, okay. And I can click that and it will open it, or I can literally drag and drop that to wherever I want it to go, and you can see it there. So this is the apparatus in this side window. Now, a couple of things here, just for what it's worth. You can actually synchronize these. So if I choose link set A on this left-hand column here, you see it's put a little A at the top here. And then if I come along here and choose link set A, and then I go to, let's say we're going to go to Titus chapter 2. When I go to Titus 2, it automatically synchronizes this window. So it links both of those windows together so that I can very easily find my way around. So that means that it's very easy. This is great for things like commentaries as well. So let's just say I want a Titus commentary. And you can go type semicolon commentary, just trim out anything that's not a commentary. Let's say I take the MacArthur New Testament commentary on the book of Titus, and you can see it's automatically synchronized that. Let's say I'm going to put the link set in, and let's say I'm going to go back to Titus chapter 1, verse 5. Let's say verse 5, and you can see that it scrolls directly to Titus 1 verse 5, and I've got my Greek New Testament to set to exactly the same place. So again, this is a very easy tool just to sort of help you lay out different resources that connect to one another, and you can use them together. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show you here was saving these books. So let's say, for instance, the Greek New Testament, the 5th edition of the UBS, is a book I want to come back to. I can actually drag that up here and drop it onto my toolbar, and that's how you save all of these tools up here. So you can see here I've got my Greek New Testament up, and you can see here, let's just show you a couple of things here first of all. So you can see down the bottom here when I mouse over these words that you've got this really handy little thing in the bottom left corner there that tells you, here's what this means. In this case, I'm mousing over ta, which means it's the article, it's in the nominative, plural, neuter, and it means the, okay? Enkainia, noun, nominative, plural, neuter, feast of dedication. Okay, so you can see then from that very simply that it gives me this information. But what if I don't want that? Well, that's where this command bar comes in, and you can type in set information, set show information tool tips, and you can type in tips if you want to yes, okay? Or so if you click on that, then it will show that in the screen, and you can see here that it's turned it on. Let's say I want to turn it off, tip to no, and there it is. Now you see when I mouse over these icons, these words, shows nothing down the bottom of the screen. But what about if you want to do that really quickly? Because here's the thing, if you're learning Greek, you don't always want these tooltips up there all the time, because otherwise it's just giving you too much data and it's not causing you to think before you read, which is reducing your ability to recall. So what we can do here is set show information tool, and then you can see it pops up as yes. Let me just drag that up here again to the end. It's going to give me this this icon here with just a cog on it. Now you can see I was just doing this a moment ago. You can right click on these and you can just go looking for another image, and I've chosen the plus image here to turn it on, and I'll show the other one here, tip to no, and again drag and drop it, stick it next to it, right click, and then look for the minus icon, and there it is. Now one turns it on, one turns it off. So it's off now, you can see it's off, click it again, and now it's on. So that makes it very quick and easy to take the program settings that you like, and you can find lots of them, and just drag them up to your toolbar so they're nice and easy to find. So that's what this plus and minus here is for me. This shows and hides the information tooltips so that I can have them if I need them, or if I don't want them, I can get rid of them very easily. Same thing goes with books. You can see I've got a number of books up here. Let me just drag the library app down here. You can see the library window. You can just drag it off there for wherever you want. Let's say I want the UBS 5, and I actually want to keep that, so I'll open it up. But then what I want to do is I want to save it so that next time it's available to me. So again, I can drag and drop that, put it up here next to my Tyndale house. So when I want that book again, or that resource, I can just click it and it will just open it up. In this case, it's opening it up to where the other reference of the same type of book is available. So this is in John 10:22, so this is also going to open to John 10:22 as well. So that's, again, turning off the power lookup the lookup thing down the bottom, the tooltips applies to both Greek New Testaments. So that's just organizing that. If you want to move them into a folder, you can just right click, give it a folder name, random, let's just say, and then UBS 5. And now I have a folder here called random with UBS 5 in it. If I want to get rid of that, I can just take it out of that folder, and it's gone, and it goes back here, and then I can just remove it from there as well. Okay, one more thing I just want to show you here before we sort of move on to the next piece here, just with regards to the layout rather, is that you can see here both the Greek New Testament, the UBS, and the Tyndale don't really give us the information that we need to be able to have things like, say, a reader's edition or something like that. But if you come in here and you choose the Lexham Greek New Testament, let's go Lexham, well, let's just choose the Lexham Interlinear, we'll just choose that one. Okay, so you can see here we have now this button up here where you can see the Alpha, the Aleph, and the Omega, which are Hebrew and Greek letters, but nonetheless, you can choose the drop down button next to that and choose exactly what you want to show in the interlinear view. And you can see down here that you have a reader's view. So let's just turn that on. And this is the interlinear, right? So you can choose that. And what I've chosen to have show here, let me just zoom in on this a bit for you. We've got the egeneto here, that's your main Greek text from Ginomai. I then have the passing for it, the morphology, and then the literal meaning or the lexical meaning of the word. Okay, so Jerusalem-ois is Jerusalem, but here it's in the dative, so you want to be able to translate it accordingly. So this just gives you a basic meaning of that word. Now, if I wanted to have the literal translation put in place, then it took place. Then the Feast of Dedication. The Feast of Dedication then took place is how you would translate that first line. Okay, let's say though, I'm not a huge fan of interlinears. If you don't already know that, then you can click the video I've got a link to just up here and it will share that with you. But I'm not a huge fan of interlinears, so let me just get rid of that. And what I don't want the morphology either. I don't really need the lemma, but maybe we do. But let's just say we want to reduce the words that it shows us as information for. So this is where we turn on the Reader's Edition. And basically, I want to show words that occur 10 times or less. So basically, what I'm saying here is only show me words that occur 10 times or less. Let's just say you're really good and you've got 5 times or less. And so you can just get rid of that then. And so there you can see it's only showing me words that occur unusually in the Bible. So you don't see very many words here then getting picked up. So you can scroll down. What is going on here? Look at this. This is John. A lot of John's words occur pretty regularly, so you don't have that problem. So if you know words down to 5 occurrences here, then you can see how many of these words you're going to know before you even start. Let's go to somewhere more tricky, like 1 Peter. actually make that 2 Peter. And you can see here, this gets a lot more tricky because you've got a lot more words that have less than 5 occurrences in the Greek New Testament. So again, you can choose what you want here. Let's say you don't want the Greek lemma, you just want the word underneath it, you can do that. Or you can say, I do want the lemma, but I don't want the word, the meaning of the word. Probably that's not going to be very helpful if you don't know what the word means. But you want the English lexical value here. That's the key thing. The other thing you might want to consider is you might want to say, let me just do this just for words that are in first. So you can then tell it to filter out the words that are in word lists. So for instance, I had a word list there for 2 Peter, and I've filtered out all the words for that. But if I go back here to John chapter 10 again, it's going to, again, you can see here that it's still got those words in John, even though I've said don't include the words that are in that list for 2 Peter. So you can filter out the words you know. If you've learnt words in a particular book or whatever, then you can have those words hidden so that it requires you to know those words. So again, you want to use this kind of thing to make sure that you're exercising all the stuff you've learnt already, and this is going to be really helpful. So that's with the Lexham Greek English Interlinear New Testament. It works pretty much with all of the Lexham New Testaments, so just use any of them. They all work fine with this feature, but the other ones don't seem to, at this stage, support it. So therein lies the beauty of having Logos, is you get those Lexham resources with it for free. So nice and easy to sort of customize this and let it do what you want it to do. You can also see I've got some search boxes here as well. So let's just take this one here. This is a search of the Greek New Testament, of the New American Standard Version, which is the Bible translation I use. Let's say I want to do a search for redemption. So you can see here all the words on redemption. Let's say I want to do a search for Son of Man. You can see here I put it in quotes because it gets then it collects it, gets that exact term. You can also see we've got fuzzy search results here, and this will search for things that are kind of close to that. And again, in this case, you can see that it's not really, it's searching for my Greek New Testament. And again, you can see hoios to anthropo, so it's got Son of Man here and these ones. So this is again searching the same sort of thing. But let's say, for instance, that I wanted to come back to the search. Again, I can just drag that search up here, drop it there, and let's just say I want to close that. And if I want to go back to it, I just click it, and you can see, even as the tooltip says there, this is search for Son of Man in the New American Standard Bible. You can just click it, and there's your search without having to type anything in. So I use this quite a lot as well. I don't normally have anything in it, so I have my New American Standard search here. Next one over is a search in the Greek New Testament. So if I want to do a search for some sort of Greek text, let's say I don't know, huios. And you can see there I've got a bunch of different search results. I can do a search for that more specifically. There we go. And you can see the Greek on the left and the English on the right. So again, very simple, very easy to sort of do that. And again, you can save that search as you want it up in the top corner there as well. The other one I have that I used quite a lot is one where I do a basic search. So a Bible search is doing a search through a Bible text. Basic search is doing a search through pretty much whatever, is any text or any concept that you want. So in this case, you can see I've actually set this to all open resources. And what I tend to use this for is, because like I said, I often have a lot of books open. And so what I tend to do is I have a search for all the books that I currently have open. So if I'm looking for, if I've got 30 books open, say, and I'm looking for a particular phrase, and I know I read it here somewhere, but I can't remember where, I can very easily just find it here. Let's say it was, Schleiermacher, I don't know. I don't have much in the way of stuff open at the moment. But you can go through here and find little bits of details about who these people are and so on, if that's what you're looking for. So again, I just find this really helpful, and so I have that linked up there all the time. A couple other things just on search. Did you know, for instance, that you can do a search for or you can reduce your search. Obviously, you've got lots of different ways of doing that. There's some built-in ways of reducing your search. So here I've got open resources. So, nothing, of course, in the Greek New Testament. What else can we look for here? In the bookstore, I can do a search in the bookstore to see if there's anything there I want to look for. I can look in, what else? I got top Bibles. But here's where it gets really quite fun. I can do a search here in collections. Now, I've shown you a bit about collections in the past. I've set up a number of collections that I find really helpful. So Greek grammars and lexicons, for instance. And so I can do a search for Schleiermacher and Greek grammars and lexicons to see how he's influenced, for instance, Greek grammar, Greek syntax, and how people think about Greek and the New Testament generally speaking. So again, that's a really helpful way of doing it. And if you're interested in more on collections, then check out this resource just up in the corner here, and you've got to find out more about how to do that, how to create them. The other thing I want to show you here, let's just say, since we're in Greek grammars and lexicons, one of the things I find really helpful sometimes is looking for, let's say I'm looking for references. Let's say I'm studying John chapter 8 verse 58, right? Now John 8:58 is, in fact, let me just give you the English there. Truly before Abraham was born, I am. So that's the key. This is the key piece here, right? So let's just say what I want to do then is I want to search for all the places in the Greek grammars that actually make reference to this verse. I can do that by typing a square bracket, like a less than sign, and typing in the reference John 8 verse 58, and then close it and then hit enter. And here we go. Here's all the references to this verse in all the Greek grammars that I have. This is very helpful if you're looking for how do people look at Greek grammar, look at the particular Greek here. Now let's say, because the piece of the argument here that's really quite challenging for a lot of people is this ego eimi. What did Jesus mean when he said before prin Abraham egenesthai ego eimi, right? So what did he mean by ego eimi? So let's just do a search here for within 5 words, and then I can type in eimi and hit enter. Now within 5 words, notice they are all in capitals. They have to be in capitals for that to work. So this is going to do a search for this reference, John 8:58, that's within 5 words of the Greek word eimi. And you can see then that this is a much smaller list. It went to 46 from 185, so that's a much better list. But you can also see from that just under a third of all of the Greek grammars talk about just about a third of all the Greek grammar references to this verse are about this ego eimi phrase. So that gives you plenty to look at. And so you can go look at those and find out what they are. What do we got here? And you can see here, good old Dan Wallace, he's got some material on that. John illustrations. So he uses John 8:58 here as an example of the historical present, talking here specifically about this. And so he gives you a bunch of references and things you can go look up. So the point here is you can also do within 5 words, you can make it 50 words if you wanted to. You can make it 2 words. Let's just do that. 36 results. So those are the 2 that have got it really near to them. Speaking of near, if you don't really have a preference for how close it is, but just near it, you can actually just type in near. There we go. So these are the ones, there's 66 results. So it's a fuzzier kind of way of searching, but it does do the search nonetheless in a way that's really helpful. So that's a little overview of how I use Logos Bible software. Now there's a good chance that as you are watching that, there was things there that maybe you'd use all the time, and maybe some of that wasn't that new. Now, I know that may be the case. Some of those tools and tips hopefully were helpful, but for some people who are only just getting into Logos, then that's some of that's pretty new. But if you've been in Logos for a while and you just want to know some of the latest stuff, then go ahead, click the link up here, and I'll leave a link to my Logos 9 review where I talked about a lot of the new features in Logos 9. But I'd love to hear from you. If you have been using Logos for a while and you found some of these features or other features that I haven't talked about here helpful, leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to help you hear from you there, and maybe I'll integrate some of your tips into my workflow as well. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is, if you've got Logos Bible software, what do you use the most? Let me know again in the comment section below. And if you want to get a copy of Logos and the Greek and Hebrew packs that we talked about earlier on, I'll leave a link in the description below to each of those, along with the other videos I've done on Logos Bible software as well, so you can get access to all of those for free whenever you feel so inclined to go down that track. So that's it from me today. Thanks so much again for watching. And if you're interested in taking your knowledge of the language to the next level, then go download my roadmap to mastery at masterntgreek.com/roadmap. And I look forward to seeing you and serving you in the next video. Until then, keep taking small, consistent steps toward mastery.